I just want to say, thanks for sticking with us for this. I know Hetch is not here, but he would be thanking you as well, because this was something new we haven't really done in this type of fashion before. It was long. 10 parts is a lot of info. So if you really like Star Guardians, we're happy we provide this for you. If you don't really like Star Guardians,
Gone in a flash before our time. Up in the skies together. The vow we have made has kept us strong. Don't fade away, it's time to shine. Burning bright as we reach out for the same horizon. Burning brighter, running out of time, we're chasing the light.
welcome to Casuals of Runeterra, Part 10, and the current final episode of our Star Guardian special, or Stardian special, as Hetch would say if he was here. I'm your host, Ryan. Hetch is not in this episode. He's currently dealing with some life stuff and some schedule stuff, but we wanted to make sure we got you this episode since the event is over for this year. And we're also working on a big batch of content. So you'll see some varying episode stuff, which, we're going to kind of keep secret until it comes out. But for now, you have me, which isn't too bad, right? So in addition, I want to say that, this isn't really the big finale episode because there's more that happens that we'll talk about towards the end of the episode. And we want to do more special episodes for Star Guardians, but it's been a long run. You guys have been with us the whole way. So we kind of wanted to give you like at least a bookmark for now. If you want to go ahead without us or wait until the next special episodes come out when we have a bit more time in the schedule. But keep an eye out. We got content coming. But the thing you're familiar with, we have up top as always, is housekeeping. So as always, you can listen to us everywhere. Contact us at podcastcore@gmail.com. Visit us at podcastcore for all of our info. Podcastcore.com for all of our info. And then follow us on any platform you prefer, or all the platforms, because that would help us with discoverability and kind of show your support. So we appreciate it. And then leave a like, comment, or a short review because that also helps us. But the easiest way is word of mouth, to tell a friend not to fall into chaos by listening to the Casuals of Runeterra podcast. So what are we talking about today? So today we're kind of wrapping up things. We wrapped up things in the previous episode. So a quick recap of everything we've done up to this point. Part 10, you get your badge of honor if you've made it this far. You did it. You made it through the gauntlet. You came out the other end and you're better for it, hopefully. So we had the intro to the main team. We had the Camp Targon trip. We had the slumber party. We had the intro to the veteran team. We had the park incident. We had Ari Gaiden, as we like to call it. And then we had Twin Stars, the story, part 1, 2, and 3. And then we finished it up with Star-Crossed, the comic series that had 5 issues, all 5 issues. So what we're going over now is kind of, okay, well, there are 2 videos that got released alongside the final batch of stuff that we got. And that was the Everything Goes On music video and the Shadow of Doubt animated video. And those just kind of reiterate current story points that we've talked about previously, add some more context, and then give us a view of the future. And the final piece was the in-game stuff. So if you played League of Legends, you know what I'm talking about. It's like a point-and-click adventure style, dating style sim approach, and that was in-game during the whole event. If you played it, you know what's going on. But that's not what we're talking about in this episode. That'll be future stuff when we hop back into it. But let's start with the music video. So the music video, Everything Goes On, takes place between Twin Stars and Star-Crossed comics, right? And what it does is it focuses on Zaya kind of grieving over Rakan and chasing Rakan, and gives you a little, smashed piece of that event because it's only a 2-minute long music video. And it's heartwarming, right? Because we know how that story moves through. And in the video, you also see her team, the new team, supporting her. So Oriana, etc., right? In their given representation there. But at the end is kind of the, big reveal of the newest first year team of the new batch, right? The new mutants, as we always like to say, and they appear at the end. So that's where that leaves off. And then you had the Shadow of Doubt video come out, which this wasn't music oriented and it focused on Akali. So we're going to talk about some of the bios of the new group and like what to expect going into that story in the future. And Akali is an interesting Star Guardian because she's kind of part of the team, but solo at times. And we know through all the stories we've talked about her personality and how she's not so certain about her place in all of this, right? And Shadow of a Doubt kind of plays into that. And it does give us the new big baddies or a reveal of one of the new big baddies. So it's just a dream sequence. You see Akali falling into this dreamlike state. It involves chaos, and she's kind of battling chaos to stop from falling. And then you see both Morgana and Fiddlesticks. And also you see the influence of a shadow slash chaos version of Akali. And Morgana's influencing her chaos, and she must battle it. And then at the end, Kaisa appears, right? Because Kaisa is her grounding factor within the real world and in the Star Guardians, and is the leader of the new team. So then this takes us to the game. And in the game is where you dive deeper into the relationships between Kaisa, Akali, being in this new group, and then finding these new Star Guardians and also trying to establish, a team, right? We've been through this over and over again. And that's one thing I think some people started to get weary on, was we were going down the same path again, because it's a very tight formula, right? With the kind of Sailor Moon style, Madoka Magica, the Sentai. You don't really have much outside stuff you can do with that. And at the end of the day, we have to remind you, it's to sell skins. It's just the way things are. So that's what we get. But it's a fun story to play through, or not even play through. You kind of just clicking through it. It's chill, and it just gives you more content to look at. And the way they introduce the Morgana and the Fiddle combination, and how that affects these Star Guardians, and how that affects Akali, who's kind of one of the main focuses as well, is a little bit different. So it's pretty much it's the cherry on top, right? If you want more than just vanilla ice cream, you can keep going down that path, but you're not going to get shocked by anything in particular. So let's look at Kaisa's team, right? So we have Echo, and a lot of these are close, as they usually do, to their in-game personas. And Echo is kind of the gearhead. He has a knack for complex engineering. He hasn't mastered the time travel aspect we know him for, but he's a very upbeat style character. And then we have Sona, who Sona is, as in the game, a mute, or she does not speak, but her her familiar, her magical medium, does a lot of talking for her. And it's a pretty neat interaction because the medium likes to take liberties on the translation of how Sona's feeling. So that's kind of cute on how they approach that. But she's obviously the support of the character, right? And kind of gives voice to the team in need without actually talking. And then you have Talia, which I love playing Talia in game. And in this, she has this duality where when she's not a Star Guardian, she's kind of shy, reserved. But the moment she transforms, she's like rambunctious and she's out there doing things. She pretty much turns into Senna when she transforms into a Star Guardian. And then the final person we have was the last one revealed with the new character, which is Nilla. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I never really looked up how to say her name. Or is it Nyla? That would make more sense. I think it's Nyla. But she's like joyous, fun, outgoing, and helps in this fight against Morgana. And those are two big baddies, which is Morgana, who disguises herself as this teacher kind of mentor and is challenging this new team to see what they're made of. Because we dealt with Zoe, we dealt with the overall other stuff. And this is the next layer in that story, understanding, well, who is Zoe? Where did she come from? How did this all start? Because we do know there was a first group, right? A group from the past. And Morgana is kind of teasing these new kids while also playing out her plan. I won't go into what that is. And then Fiddlesticks plays a role of kind of like her, not right-hand man per se, but an entity that she's sending to parts of towns to trap them in this chaos space. Because when he goes into any area, he warps the space around him. And for the Akali aspect of the story, it really affects her differently from the rest of the Star Guardians. It's just a threat to them. But for her, it's kind of playing on that chaos aspect. And will she fall? Will she not? That's the question. So that's what leaves us off with the new story, right? And that's what leaves us off here. So the future of Star Guardians, I think, to kind of wrap things up here, is there's not much more to do. We'll probably have another event. I don't think it'll be as much as this, because remember, at the beginning of this, Hetch and I originally thought it would be, kind of just a simple few editions, but they put out a lot of content. I mean, this was a 10-part series. We did this over the course of, almost 2 months. So that was not something we were expecting. And to have multiple phases of rollouts, like it wasn't just, the event. It was the event and the second part of the event and then additional stuff on top of that. The comics were a huge surprise, right? On top of what we already had. But we slogged through it all. We got you guys that info. But from this point forward, I think everyone is drained. Everyone's done. We're like, okay, Star Guardians, fun. We had our time. Got a bit repetitive towards the end. They didn't really stick the landing with the Zaya story, but we love them for the effort, right? They gave 110%. So now we can move on to other alt universes, which we'll talk about in different parts at some time. And we have other things that came out, like the book. The book came out about the Ruination, which we've talked about a lot as well. We want to talk about that as well. And you'll see those episodes coming soon in that batch of new content. But I just want to say, thanks for sticking with us for this. I know Hetch is not here, but he would be thanking you as well. Because, this was something new we haven't really done in this type of fashion before. It was long. 10 parts is a lot of info. So if you really like Star Guardians, we're happy we provide this for you. If you don't really like Star Guardians, we're sorry we delayed the other content for it, but that stuff is coming back in droves. So until then, thanks for listening. We'll be back soon with the next episode. As Hetch would say, take care, everybody.